All right, let's get right into it. Right now, there's a massive economic battle happening, and it all comes down to one single number, 160. That's 160 Japanese yen for $1. And for Japan, believe me, this isn't just some number on a screen. It's a line in the sand. It's a high-stakes war against the most powerful financial forces on the planet. So put yourself in their shoes for a second. Imagine you're the one in charge. On one side, you've got Wall Street, with what seems like infinite ammo to bet against your currency. And on your side, you've got a limited war chest. So what's your move? This is the exact situation Japan's leaders are in. And their answer? Well, it's one of the riskiest economic gambles we've seen in a long, long time. So let's start with the battlefield itself. This whole battle over the 160 yen line. This isn't just about finance geeks and trading screens. Nope. This is a massive national gamble, and the stability of the entire Japanese economy is on the table. Now, you might be asking, what's so special about 160? Well, for months now, this level has become this huge psychological trigger. Every time the yen gets weaker and crosses that line, Japan's central bank is under immense pressure to jump in and do something. But for traders around the world, it's a target. It's a sign of weakness that they can push on to make a profit. And that has turned the 160 line into this brutal psychological tug of war, a real test of will between an entire nation and the global market. So, how in the world does Japan fight a battle like this when it's so financially outgunned? Well, that brings us to their core strategy. See, they know they can't go dollar for dollar against Wall Street's deep pockets, so they've turned to something way more subtle: psychological warfare. And this strategy actually has a name. It comes from ancient Chinese history, and it's called the empty fort strategy. The idea is a classic bluff. When you're cornered, when you're weak, you do the opposite of what's expected. You throw open the gates and you act completely calm. Your enemy sees this and they get spooked. They think, wait a minute, this has to be a trap. And that's pretty much exactly what Japan is trying to pull off right now, just, in the 21st century currency markets. So what does this modern-day bluffing toolkit actually look like? Well, first, you get these sharp, very public warnings about excessive moves in the currency. Then, they drop these little hints that they have the backing of the United States, creating this illusion of a super powerful ally in their corner. All of it, every single move, is designed to create doubt and fear in the minds of traders, hoping to scare them away from betting against the yen. And when you put it side by side like this, the conflict is just so clear. It's a total mismatch. You've got Team Japan using bluffs and psychology with a limited number of bullets in their pocket. And on the other side, you have Wall Street, which is basically a profit-driven machine with near-infinite capital and the power to short the yen, which is just a fancy way of saying they can bet that its value will fall. They can just keep pushing and testing Japan's defenses forever. But here's the thing. This external fight against global traders, it's not even the whole story. Japan is actually fighting a war on a second front, and this one might be even more dangerous. Because the biggest danger to Japan's entire gamble might not be the enemy outside the gates. It might be a deep, fundamental conflict that's happening right at home. And this is where it gets really messy. Think of it like driving a car. Japan's central bank is desperately trying to strengthen the yen. That's like slamming on the brakes. But at the exact same time, the government is trying to stimulate the economy with more spending, and that's like stomping on the gas pedal. And you might ask, why would they do that? Well, because the normal brake, just raising interest rates, would be absolutely crushing for an economy with so much government debt. So they're stuck hitting the gas and the brake at the same time, sending completely contradictory signals to the market. And guess who sees this clear as day? Every single savvy global trader. This internal fight completely undermines their whole empty fort strategy. I mean, how can you convince your enemy that you're strong and ready for a battle when you can't even get your own house in order? It's a fatal flaw, and it makes their bluff much, much harder for anyone to believe. And this fatal flaw, this internal conflict, it opens the door to a truly catastrophic outcome, a scenario that economists have a pretty chilling name for: the double kill. The term sounds dramatic because, well, it is. A double kill is a financial nightmare. It's what happens when international investors lose faith not just in a country's currency, but also in its ability to pay back its debts. So what do? They panic sell both at the same time. And that can trigger a complete and total economic meltdown. And this is the ultimate domino effect that Japan is terrified of. If the bluff fails and the global markets decide they've had enough, they could pull their money out of everything. The yen would crater, the value of Japanese government bonds would collapse, and it would spark a truly devastating financial crisis. So, where does all of this leave us? What happens next in this incredible economic drama? The truth is, Japan is in an almost impossible position. I mean, just think about this impossible tightrope act. They have limited firepower against a global market that has nearly unlimited resources. Their main strategy is basically a giant psychological game of chicken, but that game is being completely undermined by their own internal policies. And all the while, the nightmare of a double kill scenario is just hanging over everything. Which, of course, brings us to the final critical question. Is this whole thing an act of strategic genius, a masterful bluff that might actually work? Or is it just a desperate last-ditch effort, a national suicide mission that is simply doomed to fail? The battle for the 160 line is still going, and the entire world is watching to see what the answer will be.